Hey guys, Lynn Marie here. Welcome to a special lunchtime edition of Quit of the Week because I have lots of podcasts to record during the normal time. So hope you have a few minutes at lunch to take a look, or you can watch the replay. Anyway, Quit of the Week this week is quitting maybe, and not maybe quitting the concept of maybe. This either strikes a chord with you immediately or maybe you don't know what I'm talking about, but let me elaborate. Do you remember when Manson put out that pretty popular article, and we'll make it G-rated, PG-13 rated here, called, let's say, F yes or no? We'll just, from here on out, we'll just call it like heck yes or no. There could be tender ears watching, I don't know. Anyway, the concept was either something is like an absolute hell yes or no, don't even bother with it. And that was, I think, maybe in regards to dating initially. However, people have used it to answer any type of question. And, do I want to do this thing with my life? Heck yes or no. Do I want to date this person? Do I want to move to this city? Do I want to do this project? It's applicable in a lot of areas. Well, I would advocate just that. But what we'll do is we'll flip it around a little bit and we'll call it quitting maybe. Because if it's not a heck yes, then, and it's not an automatic no for you, and you're somewhere in the gray zone, that's obviously the maybe area. And maybe's not a great place to be. Maybe doesn't do you a lot of favors, and maybe doesn't do anybody else a lot of favors. Let me give you an example. Some of you know I almost accidentally got tickets to Burning Man this year. And Burning Man takes a lot of preparation. You've got to rent an RV generally months ahead of time. By the way, you don't have to rent an RV. You can camp, but I rent an RV several months in advance. You have to put down a deposit. You have to do a lot of preparation. You have to ask off work. And the day I got the ticket, somebody's like, "Oh, I want to go with you." I was like, great. Okay, then I'll keep the tickets. I won't sell them. But I reiterated, you can't be a maybe on this. You can't back out of Burning Man. You can't, the Facebook thing where you're interested. No, you can't just be interested in going to Burning Man. You kind of have to tell me now whether or not you're going. And this was in March, I believe. And fast forward to now, which is June. Burning Man is in about 2 months from now. A few days ago, he informs me he can't go. Not like some situation that he absolutely couldn't go, but there's this reason I don't want to go and this reason I don't want to go. Okay. So in actuality, he was probably a maybe at the time, but he tried to make it a yes. And who benefited from that? Definitely not me, because then I didn't plan properly for the past however many months. By the way, I've ended up selling the tickets. No harm. It's fine. But it just made me realize, if you're not really into something, it probably didn't do him any good to spend the past few months thinking oh, now I'm stuck in this thing. I have, she said I can't be a maybe. And I know he was really nervous about telling me that he was going to back out. The whole, I've got some news kind of dramatic thing, So he spent months worried about it. I spent months not planning properly because I, had picked somebody who was essentially a maybe. So nobody wins, right? Think about when you're in a situation where you are, for example, on Facebook and you put, back when they had maybe instead of interested. Interested's fine. But maybe is, in the California terms, it's the unless something better comes up. When there are things and you hit going because you were like, hell or high water, I am going to this thing. Think about that feeling and the difference between that and the maybe. And realize that maybe isn't doing you any favors. It's not really doing anybody else any favors. So just quit maybe. Go with what Manson says. Either you are a hell yes to this thing or just be a no. Now, Facebook's a little extreme example because maybe you want to put a bunch of things on your calendar, and if the day gets there and you're bored and you can go to them, that's fine. But think about when friends ask you to do something and you don't really want to, but you don't have the courage to tell them you don't really want to. So you either give a maybe or you give a yes that they probably deep down know is not really a yes. Then they're not able to prepare properly. Say they're making a party and everybody's a maybe. Well, do they get food for 5 or do they get food for 50? And think about the energy that you're putting into that answer when you give them that maybe and it's really a no. Or you're giving them a maybe and you might actually go, but it's not because you want to. and design a life you want to lead. If you don't really want to go to it, just say, hey, man, I really appreciate the invitation, but that kind of thing isn't really my jam. I would feel more comfortable you and I hanging out by ourselves than going to this party you invited me to. Something like that. If they're your friends, they'll understand. There are obviously circumstances in life where somebody invites you to something, it would mean the world. Well, then go to it, but then don't be a maybe. Tell yourself, I am going to this. I know this means a lot to this person. I've done that. Sometimes it's something I don't necessarily want to go to because I'm busy or whatever's going on, but I know it's really important to that person. So I tell myself, we're going. No, there's no question. There's not a maybe, if I feel like it at the time, going. So in your day-to-day life, I think it will cause a lot less mental stress and cognitive dissonance or whatever you want to call it if what you say is in line with what you feel and what you mean. I had to be honest with myself. When he told me he was going to Burning Man, my friend, I was like, I don't really believe it. He was not actually selling me on him being a hell yes. And I should have just listened to that. And I should have said, hey, let's be honest. You can be honest with me. If you're not 100% into this, just please tell me that now. And you can do that too if you feel like somebody's giving you a maybe. Somebody who has not watched the Quitting Maybe video, just say, hey, look, I'm giving you the space to say no. That's okay. Like, I totally get if it's a no. Don't even tell me maybe. Like, if you are not totally into this, that's okay. It'll be easier for me to plan if you just are honest with me right now. Anyway, there's the quit of the week. Update, not going to Burning Man, but all is well because Burning Man was right before my book was going to come out anyway. So the universe has done its thing, but it did give me a good thought for what quit of the week should be this week. I have a podcast coming out tomorrow, and I'm recording 4 podcasts in the next 24 hours. So please, if you haven't subscribed to Quit Happens, that would be great. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of really big guests coming. And if you haven't, maybe hit some stars and give it a rating if you have iTunes. I would really appreciate that because that's a good way to attract even more guests in the future. Okay, hope you had a great lunchtime and have a great rest of your Wednesday. Bye.